Welcome to BitBoy Crypto, home of the BitSquad, the largest and greatest crypto community in all of the interwebs. No channels working harder to keep you in the know when it comes to crypto. And this is Around the Blockchain. We come to you Monday through Friday at 5:03 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where we talk about your favorite topics with your favorite guests. Today, no exception, and half our guests don't have sleeves. We're going to go start on the top right. We have Wendy O. And, hey, she just got delivered some delicious-looking tacos. Make sure you follow her Twitter. She's always got some spicy takes and pics there of food. Also, on the bottom right, we have, he's become the man in black, but he makes that Johnny Cash and that Johnny Crypto, Tim Warren, Tim's TA. And then on the bottom left, he brought out the guns. Altcoin Daily, he is getting swole from all his dance competitions. Then on the top left there, of course, we have Ben Armstrong shaking his head saying, no one danced better than me. Have you seen my moves on the cardboard? But we're going to be talking about digital commodities. Have we finally found clarity? Also, of course, we have to talk about the Solana exploit currently ongoing. It's been another thorn in the side of the Solana maxis, and also the crypto and esports harmony. But before we do, let's get to this crypto market watch. Let's see what is going on with the broader markets. And it seems like Bitcoin still, just kind of hanging out slightly above that $23,000 level, up slightly. Ethereum bucking the trend, even though Bitcoin's slightly in the green. Ethereum, a slight dip, but still above 16, looking at 1645 right now. Now, Wendy, we're going to get into it a little bit. We have a little bipartisan bill. Looks like a little clarity on the crypto front. How are the markets looking? I mean, are they reacting to this news at all, or is this just kind of trading within the channels and the ranges that we were expecting?
So when it comes to Bitcoin, Bitcoin's actually starting to struggle a little bit about around this resistance area. I was looking earlier, but now we're starting to see a little bit of a struggle. We're seeing that we're having issues breaking above that 23.6 area. As far as altcoins go, they're looking good, but if Bitcoin cannot get above this 23.6 area, then we will head back down. So I would be immensely careful. I actually posted a bunch of charts on Twitter. If y'all want to go ahead and read those, that's fine. If not, that's fine too. But yeah, we really need to kind of get above that area. And unfortunately, that's just the type of market we're in, is we're just waiting for these little mini pumps, reclaims of these support areas, flip them into resistance, and then hopefully we flip above approximately, where is this? We need to really get above 26.6 to be kind of bullish.
Okay, now I see the diagonal line clearly. It's looking like it's a little support there, but these horizontal lines, is that based off, just support levels? This is where it trades at, or is this based off any kind of Fibonacci levels? What are we looking at with the horizontals?
If you pull Fibonacci up, they're going to be pretty accurate, but these are just based on opening and closings of different time frames, like the weekly or the daily, the 6 hour, etc. But this big one, this big daddy one over here, the one that's like the most important, is going to be the downtrend that we've been in since the swing wick high of October 8th of 2021 at approximately $69,000. And that's why I have that area about 26.7, and then we also have $32,000. Those are super, super important for me. But we'll see what happens. And we did create a local bottom, but again, I still stand with BitBoy at thinking that this is not the bottom for the bear market. We're probably going to see a breakdown of 17.6 or 18.7 to approximately 10K, and I will stand by that.
All right, the Bulls are on parade, but maybe the Bears are in control here. But let's talk about the Senate bill. They're maybe going to classify Bitcoin and ETH as a digital commodity. And of course, maybe our would-be saviors, the Cftc, kind of going after the SEC, saying, you don't know what you're talking about. They want to pass the Digital Commodities Consumer Protection Act. This is a bipartisan agreement. Senator Stabenow, I believe, and John Boozman, also my nickname in college there. And they want to create basically a new digital commodity. One fact about the Cftc, they actually don't trade, they don't really regulate the underlying commodities, but the derivatives based off those commodities. So they don't really regulate pork belly, but they regulate the pork belly futures, just for an example there. Now, Ben, I got to bring up Gensler here, because we talk about the Cftc trying to take some power. Ultimately, they're trying to take power from Gary Gensler. Now you have them, not only we've seen remarks criticizing him, now we have a bipartisan agreement maybe effectively neutering his power here. Have the powers that be even gotten tired of Gensler? What is this signaling to you?
Well, I've been very clear that at most, he only has one testicle, at most. So if you're going to neuter him, hopefully he gets 50% off on
Yeah,
that
it's
deal.
half price deal.
Half price deal with Gary Gensler. Wow.
Yeah, because they shaft him if they charged him full price there.
They would, and obviously the scales of justice here have spoken. That's a lizard person joke for y'all that didn't get it. Look, here's the thing: we are going to see the CFTC taking over here. I believe that Gary Gensler, it's starting to become clear. I talked about this on the live stream this morning. Gary Gensler's legacy is getting ran over by Ripple. That is going to be his legacy. He will go down in history as the commissioner with 0 wins, all losses, and got ran over by a bus. And that's really exciting. If it happened in real life, that would be great too. I don't want to say that. But the thing is we got to get this guy out of power. He is bad for crypto. He is a wolf in sheep's clothing. He is a human he's a lizard in human's clothing, some people may say. But the whole thing is this guy is from MIT. He taught blockchain. He knows his stuff. None of what he says is authentic. It is all a game. I don't know if you guys saw Jeremy Hogan, his reaction video to the Gary Gensler exchange video that came out over the weekend. It was hilarious. Like the things that the points that Gary Gensler tries to make are so idiotic that it just stands to reason that everything that he does is a show. Like he can't look. Gary Gensler's dumb. Like I'm just gonna say it. He's dumb. He's low IQ. This guy's an idiot. There's no question about it. He didn't develop past the lizard brain. If you guys know what that means, there's no question. However, when it came to this thing over the weekend, like there's no way he can be that dumb. There's no way he can be so stupid that he puts out these comparisons between what it's like comparing an electric car and a crypto exchange. That doesn't make any sense, Gary. Dirty Gary. He's dirty for a reason. He comes from Goldman Sachs, MIT background. This guy, he is set to destroy crypto. He wants his legacy to be something different than it's going to be, and he's grasping at straws at this point, and it's very obvious that now both parties are starting to unite against him. I suspect this man doesn't make it to January.
Okay. Oh, Goldman Gary. We also like to call him G3 around here. Now, Tim, I was looking at part of the bill, and the bill says it needs to exclude securities from simultaneously being labeled as a digital security or a digital commodity there. Where do you foresee happening with this labeling? If they do get a little clarification, hey, you're a digital commodity, we are going to control, any jurisdiction over that entity. But, are you a security or not? Do you foresee 1,000 Ripple cases here, 100 Ripple cases? Is this just going to multiple chains going to try to bog down the SEC or the government in court? How is this going to play out? Are they going to just say, hey, here's the list, 500 coins of the top 1,000. We don't think these are securities. Or is it just going to be, hey, we're giving clarification, but really we're left in the dark?
Yeah, honestly, what is a security? I don't think people are really yet sure what constitutes a security. You're asking Gary Gensler and even Michael Saylor, you're going to pretty much say everything except for Bitcoin. I think Gary has kind of said Bitcoin he's going to rule out at this point, but I think he's even trying to throw Ethereum in there, but I don't think that's going to win. I think that there's going to be some debates going on, and here's the real question. Even when you get into the CFTC, I think this is phenomenal news for crypto because, by the way, another bill that's going to be going before Senate, which we heard about more recently, is that bill for potential exchanges of payments less than $50 to be used tax-free. Phenomenal. I think that us getting a bill passed to say that the CFTC gets to control everything in crypto, that would be a lot more intriguing to me. So I would love to know what chat thinks about that, which bill they'd rather pass. Either way, there's still a lot of debate out there about what security actually is. Gary Gensler wants to classify everything as one, and yet I don't think that's how that's going to go. And I think what's really interesting, even as we start to open up, with the CFTC getting involved here, I don't know if any of you guys who were at Consensus got to listen, but one of the former commissioners from the CFTC, Dawn DeBerry Stump, she actually even posed the question, is Bitcoin even a commodity? Should it be treated actually more like cash, in which case there is no taxes? So I would love for it to go under the power of the CFTC because there are some people, and she's no longer commissioner. I think she ended in April. I think her term ended in April, but she was just in power, and she is someone who's actually seriously questioning if something like Bitcoin shouldn't even be treated as a commodity. And so how nice would that be? It seems like the commodity team is a lot more on track with what's happening in crypto. Either way, though, no matter what happens, no matter whether we, get the CFTC in there, I would much rather them be there than the securities. And we're ready for just freaking clarity in the regulation market. I mean, it's something we knew was going to happen. Not a lot of people want it to happen. On our show, we've talked about a lot of people treat it the same word as moist. No one likes to hear it, but the word exists. Regulation is not going to be fun, but it's about time we just get some clarity. And I'm really, really hoping this bill goes through. And those of us who are invested in crypto actually get to have real clarity on what's happening, and then watch those institutions in Wales who have been sitting on the sideline for years now. Kevin O'Leary talks about this all the time. There's billions, if not trillions of dollars just sitting on the sideline waiting. And similar, I know you guys talk about this on your channel. There's so many arrows pointing to that November, December, maybe early 2023 area as being a potential bottom. Maybe this bill starts to pick up some heat and we start to see a momentum build right there where those institutions of Wales start getting in. I'm really fascinated to see how this unfolds, but at this point, I'm super excited about this bill.
Yeah, that's a good point. All this money sitting on the sidelines, just waiting. Those palms, they're getting moist, speaking of moist. But let's hoist on to Altcoin Daily here. Where do you think we're going to get more clarity in the long run? Is it going to be from CFTC, actually getting power here? Or is it going to be from SEC versus Ripple? Quick bonus question. Should Bitcoin be treated as a commodity or a currency? I also want to know that.
That's a good question, that last one. I mean, I think in the near term, let's treat it as a commodity. That's the best thing in the near term. And then maybe in the future, more as a currency once it becomes more of a medium of exchange. Regarding a question, SEC versus CFTC, obviously they work together. Everybody in crypto obviously talks about Gary Gensler and the SEC because they're the one finding people and, bringing people to court with the DOJ. But there are obviously more than securities in crypto. Bitcoin, commodity. Ethereum, probably a commodity. That's the way they treat it in Canada. That's the way they treat it in Australia. Those two organizations are working together and going to have to work together. And I liked what Tim was saying, because the fact is, we're just waiting at this point because it's pretty obvious to them and just different leaders in politics in America that crypto's here to stay. We don't want to fall behind, and we're well past due. And as crypto holders, what's going to happen is this regulation will come. There will be a spectrum, whether it is very good and clear regulation or maybe it's a little, not as good. Either way, wherever it falls on the spectrum, unless it's really, really bad, it's ultimately going to be good for crypto in America. And it will give more institutions and more larger money the chance to buy in, because what's really holding a lot of people back is the regulatory clarity. And for specific projects, if they're deemed securities, perhaps it might not be good for specific projects, but overall, it's going to be great for the industry in America.
All right. Now, speaking of specific projects, let's talk about Solana. And yes, another exploit. I kind of want to just share this chart real quick. This is just from the past 24 hours. We're approaching on from 24 hours ago. So you can see it being normal, trading sideways, and then all of a sudden just falling off a cliff, just much like my hairline there. And a slow but steady climb, which I just couldn't understand. Wendy, we'll get into the weeds of what actually happened here, but I want to know what is up with this price action. We've long been flabbergasted. Solana's down for 7 hours. Price is on parity with what Bitcoin did. We see it time and time again. I think, when I was looking earlier, it was down 0.5%. Bitcoin was flat. Why doesn't Solana behave like you would expect it when a chain goes down, when a chain is hacked? We see it with smaller alts.
Cough, cough, follow the money. Cough, cough, Alameda. Cough, cough, everybody else who's got their hands in this particular project. Listen, I've got a moon bag of Solana, okay? Got a moon bag of it because I like money, okay? What is happening is Solana is a very centralized project, and that's not bad. It is what it is, but you have to pay attention to who has invested in it. What is their interest? There's also a connection between Solana and USDC, the Circle people. And I really think that USDC could potentially become very close or very, very close to becoming the CBDC of the United States, because America's public servants are absolutely lazy. They are lazy. They have done nothing since 2017 to do anything positive for the industry or for the economy of the United States of America. But why would people that have money, why would they let their project die? Why?
Okay, good point. Now, Ben, I kind of want to touch on the specifics just slightly here. It looks like it was a little iOS exploit. Phantom Trust Wallet also affected, linking this. But I really want to know your opinion on what mechanism, because I agree with Wendy. I think there's some big money behind it, and somehow they are preventing this price from plummeting. What is the mechanisms they're using? Is it just abnormally large liquidity pools where panic sellers won't move the market? Are they counter trading and buying up the dip? How are they keeping this price up despite all this catastrophic news?
Well, I think that when you look at it, that they're buying it up is what they're doing. When people are selling, they're just coming. Like, I want you to think about how much money these Solana whales from the bull run are sitting on. Like, when you really think about these people selling the top, what was the top for it? $300 about, somewhere around
there?
A
little above 250. Yeah.
Well, above two. Yeah. So 250. And then everything collapses and they make so much money. We see this with NFT projects. What'll happen is these people make so much money and they keep making sales on the secondary market. So what do? When some of the smaller holders start selling, they buy it up. They're losing money, but they're buying up the floor price and keeping their own value at a higher value than the amount they're losing by buying a new one. And so that's kind of what you see here. Now keep in mind, like FTX and Solana are as thick as thieves together. So you have an entire exchange full of liquidity where you're able to wash trade. I'm not accusing them of wash trading, but we all know wash trading happens in crypto. And when you look at projects that are keeping the volume and keeping the price high, despite, the overall market dropping and having these kinds of disasters, I think it is something to look at. Is there some wash trading going on with it? And there's just way too much money at stake here. And I think, I really do believe that Sam Bankman-Fried, I'm really dicing out what I think about him. And I've had a really hard time with him. A lot of the people in the space are polarizing and you know what to think about him, right? But other ones, you're like, is this a good person? Is this not a good person? I tend to think that Sam Bankman-Fried ultimately has good goals and ultimately wants good things. But I think he's willing to use any means possible to get there. And so I don't think that any of this is outside of the range. Now, is he the one directly doing it or directing it? No, I'm sure he's insulated from that. But does he know this is going on? Absolutely. The more volume picks up over there, the more they can eventually start swallowing up other exchanges. And then that's the more liquidity they can have and the more volume. And it's, basically the way Sam Bankman-Fried wants it is he wants it to be where Coinbase, FTX and Binance are really the only games in town. And, that would be a huge advantage for him going forward. Once again, you have to look at the amount of value lost by buying something compared to the amount of value lost from a price dropping. And I think he's perfected that.
Yeah, I would say the same. And that's kind of how he got his roots was, arbitrage between American price of Bitcoin and South Korean price of Bitcoin. So he definitely knows that game well. But, I have a tweet from the CEO of Yakovenko. He was saying it seems like an iOS supply chain attack. Here we have 0x Fubar, quote tweeted by CZ, and it seems like active security incident. Don't know root cause yet. Maybe permissions granted to apps. That seems to be the leading theory here. So revoke permissions. And I just want to say, we mentioned it yesterday. There's a giant hack. We do have links. Store things on a hard wallet, folks. We have links. If you just buy directly from the account, don't buy used ones. Don't buy them on eBay. Go to bitboycrypto.com. We can point you in the right direction. It's just be safe out there. But Altcoin Daily, we have these leading theories. There's at the fog of war last night, no one knew what was going on. Kind of look at some things here. Wallet's been active for more than 6 months. Because this is crypto and things move so quickly, what's the Altcoin Daily take on things like this? Are you, okay saying these seem to be theories? Do you kind of wait for things to be confirmed? And, what are your thoughts on this whole Solana hack?
Here's my thoughts, DZ, and great question, by the way. Open-ended question. Just allow me to springboard any way I want. I like that.
Yes.
But
yes.
This is the Altcoin Daily.
We don't like to paint Altcoin Daily into a corner, especially price predictions. We get maybe one every 5 months from you. And that's actually your brother.
Hey. Yeah, that's true. Bitcoin to 100K eventually. But, okay, this is my take on Solana, what's going on in that ecosystem. Number one, if you controlled your own private keys in a hardware wallet, you would not get affected. Nobody can take your crypto away from you. Number two, the question is, why didn't Solana drop more? Not only was there an exploit, but and many people lost their money, but also then it got taken offline, like we've seen time and time again. So, obviously not decentralized. And, what is the value if it's so centralized like that? And this is one theory to justify why Solana's, market value kind of like trended back up. And the other theories mentioned are also true. But one other theory is that unlike Bitcoin, even unlike Ethereum, what happened with Solana, revealing its centralization, it was already congruent with how everybody already thought of Solana. So this is not a surprise to the market. It's kind of like, and I don't mean to get too political, it's kind of like Trump cheating on his wife versus somebody like, U.S. candidate Anthony Weiner cheating on his wife. Now, Anthony Weiner, the Democrat, it tanked his whole, running. It totally took him out of the race. It didn't do that for Trump because it was already congruent with how America thought of Trump, a cheater. So, that's one way to look at it.
All right. And, kind of reminds me of the Frankel, Senator Frankel. He got, he stepped down for pretending to place his hand a certain area versus someone actually saying, I grab people in certain areas that are worse areas. But Tim, before we get sidetracked here a little bit, do you think that the projects on Solana, and I don't mean NFTs because we're seeing it already. I mean more of the games and the dApps and the decentralized protocols. Do you think that they're second guessing their Solana choice now? Or do you foresee any of these, jumping ship? About how many do you expect that to happen to?
I can't give you an answer on how many, but, anytime you now mention Solana, ever since the founder, CEO, I don't know what he goes by, had kind of called out Cardano for how slow Cardano was moving, you can't really now talk about Solana without bringing Cardano into the equation. And of course, I know that's not what today's show is about, but of course, there was earlier this week all that negativity about Cardano and the bug that they found. And Charles decided, hey, we got to start from scratch. We're going to fix this bug, but I'm going to go back to the beginning and go through. I'm going to take my sweet time and I'm going to fix it. Are we still upset at him for making that decision after we're seeing what's happening over here? And I get it. It wasn't Solana specifically that had a problem, but the fact that Solana's not doing its due diligence to know what's going on their platform. I heard an excuse this morning from somebody in our chat saying, hey, Solana's in beta, give it a break. They're in beta. I don't think being in beta gives you an excuse for losing people millions of dollars, having their wallets exposed. I don't think that's a good excuse. I think Solana can still continue to be a good platform. I agree with what Wendy said earlier. It's centralized. That's not necessarily a bad thing. We've kind of been almost like trained or wired to hear centralization. Now, if you've been in the crypto space for a while and you hear the word centralization, there is this like evilness that comes with it. Well, guess what? Companies and businesses have been centralized for a very long time. We have worked with centralized governments and dollars for a very long time. It's not new. It's not the end of the world. However, when people are just raving about Solana, it's time Solana starts to backtrack a little bit of what they were calling out Cardano for. Because there's this kind of narrative that Cardano is just taking sweet time and it's, people are excited about it, but when are they actually going to accomplish something? Versus Solana, they kind of came in and they delivered what the crypto space wanted. What is the crypto space full of? A bunch of people who want profits right now. They want results right now. They want cool things right now. And guess why Solana did so well? Because Solana came and delivered the people what they wanted. What did they not do, though? They didn't do it in a very wise and secure way. That's what Charles has been really big on is, hey, we're going to get this right the first time. We're not going to make mistakes. We're going to have a secure network for you. Solana just rushed to get it done. And, guess what? There's a story about a turtle and a hare. And there's a race involved in this story. Guess who wins the race? The turtle. In this scenario, I'm not saying Solana is over and done, but I do think that now Solana and the community behind Solana need to start prioritizing that security priority. They need to get that a little higher on the list. Speed is great. I get it. They're delivering things really fast. That's one of the things centralized systems can do. So one of the reasons why ETH is taking such a long time to do what it's doing is because they don't want to just centralize all of it and make the decision for themselves. Vitalik was waiting for the community to kind of rally in a decentralized fashion. Solana, because it's centralized, can just go really, really fast and do it, give people what they want immediately. This is the downside, though. If you guys were wondering why things need to take time and why bugs need to be checked and why we need to prioritize security, we have got a great example of that over the last 2 days with these two hacks, the really two big hacks that are hitting the space. And unfortunately, here's the problem: is if this doesn't go unchecked, if people don't start changing how they view these things going, the crypto space is going to be a scary space for any new person to come in, because it already has that, oh, I don't know about this, I can't touch it, I can't see it, is this just one big scam? And then you get to read the headlines that says, 8,000 wallets hacked, $8 million, $190 million hacked. What new person who's kind of on the fence about crypto is thinking today, oh, it's time to get into crypto? No, that's not what they're thinking. And it's giving the coins like Bitcoin and Ethereum and Cardano and so many other quality projects a bad name. And I think it's time the community starts to kind of slow down. Hey, it's nice to get results, but let's do it in a secure way so that we can actually take out the real enemy, and that is centralized fiat currency.
Yeah. All right. Great points there. Great points. All right. Let's move on and talk a little crypto and esports. And we have a marriage made in heaven, evidently, just partnerships just lining up, growing and growing, and specifically TSM, FTX, we're bringing up Solana. And just as, you brought up tortoise and hare, splitting hairs here. It wasn't, we said Solana hack. It's a hot wallet permissions granted hack, just to be clear. It wasn't the Solana network, but they did take the network down. So we may say Solana hack, but we don't actually mean the entire chain was hacked. But when it's the number one wallet, I think it's fair to say, look, this is a major Solana hack for sure. But, we have crypto gaming, and we have TSM pouring in tons of money, FTX pouring in tons of money, Coinbase, Uniswap, tons and tons of people, Riot Games, League of Legends, many, many avenues. We just see it growing and growing. Ben, we love talking gaming here. We love talking crypto and esports. We do have a little bit of an esports division. So kind of want to give you a chance here to kind of explain, what is the hit network gaming angle when it comes to this? I mean, what do you see the marriage being, and how long will this take? I want the day where I can just give all my favorite streamers, I can tip them in Bitcoin. Jack Mahler is going to provide me the avenue, of course, to do this. How far are we away from Joel? A shout out to one of our employees here. How far are we away from Joel? Doesn't even take money. We doesn't even use a centralized exchange like Twitch, where everything is decentralized. Is this a pipe dream that will never happen, or are we closer than a lot of people think?
Well, I think first and foremost, I think Joel needs to have a smaller head and a bigger hat if he's going to be Jack Mahler's. Jack Mahler is a guy that looks like he's 19, and I think he's like 30. So,
it's like Rob
shout out to
Dyrdek.
him first. Yeah, he really. No, he's not as cool as Rob Dyrdek.
Yeah.
Well, whoa, he is pretty cool. I like Rob. Rob's a good guy. I'm not saying Jack Mahler is not a good guy. I'm sure he's a good guy, but he's not my favorite person in crypto by any stretch of the imagination. So, look, I'm sure I'm not his either. So there you go. But what this all boils down to is that we are closer. I would say this. I think this is the best possible way for me to say it. We are much further away than the average person in crypto thinks. We are much closer than the average non-crypto gamer thinks. I think we're somewhere in the middle of that. Look, Crypto Crow was on the show this week, and he was talking about how, he believes that metaverse and blockchain gaming and the next bull run is going to be absolutely massive. And there's a chance that that's going to be true. I think there's also chances the cycle after that. I think obviously metaverse coins will do well. These coins will do well. Play to earn will do well speculatively in the bull run. But I think we're probably about 8 to 12 years away. Look, there is not a crypto game that exists that is as good as a console game. There's not one that exists that's as good as a console game. It's not even close. Now, you make the argument that console games in general are kind of going to go away in, maybe 8 to 12 years, which is potential. It's a big industry, but the technology needed to host powerful games is getting smaller and smaller, of course, over time. But I think really the thing to pay attention to is how NFTs and blockchain gaming fit hand in hand. This is the thing that the gamers hate, because they look at people in crypto and they think we're clowns. They think we're clowns. They think we don't know what we're talking about. Of course, 2 years ago, they thought we were genius. Now they think we're clowns, and everybody's an idiot in this space. And if you go by generative trade NFTs, you're an idiot, you're low IQ, yada, yada, yada. But it's the association with crypto that the gamers don't like. They don't understand blockchain that's underneath it. When they finally realize you're going to be able to take your gun and move it from Fortnite to Call of Duty, they're going to be like, oh, actually, yeah, that is pretty cool. Because imagine this, okay? Imagine this. If you were to, like, let's say, do you remember Super Mario Brothers 3? Does anybody remember Super
The
Mario
flute.
Brothers 3?
Yeah, you get the flute.
The warp whistle.
I
The warp
speedrun that.
whistle.
Sorry.
Oh, do you really? Yeah, that's really great, BJ. Or you must be Fred Savage from The Wiz.
No,
But
just a virgin.
just
So that reference.
also a virgin. That's nice. So the thing is that the hut that you would go into in Super Mario 3 where you would play the game where you'd have to match the mushroom, the star, and the flower. You'd have the top piece that went over there. You'd have the middle piece. You'd have the bottom piece. If you were to imagine each like skin, emote, and gun is kind of that same kind of thing where you can make a combination of an individual skin with an individual emote with an individual gun. Think about how many combinations you can make from Fortnite. Well, now think about if you were to add in all the combinations you could do from Call of Duty, or you could do from those are the only two games I know. So I don't know. Those are the only two first-person or third-person shooter, whatever you call those kind of games, shooting games that I know. Halo, I guess, maybe I know too. But if you were to expand that universe, think about how many new combinations of a character you can create. And as people's digital lives become more and more valuable and more important to them as Generation Z is growing up, having that one-of-one combination is going to be so valuable. And I know my kids play Fortnite. I know how much that important how that is. So that's kind of how I see things. When the world is open up to them and they understand the implications of being able to keep these on blockchain and move them from chain to chain and you own your assets, they're going to be sold.
Yeah, and I would agree. And just for those thinking like, oh, there's not enough skins, just off the top of my head, the amount of combinations, as Ben said, with the pickaxe and the backpack and the clothing, you're going to have trillions of combinations possibly. So it would definitely go up really high. Now, Altcoin Daily, I want to ask you about Sammy specifically here. You know, we kind of said, hey, when this bear market crash first happened, we saw collapse after collapse after collapse. And we said, there's a couple people, they seem smart with their capital here. You know, Sam Bankman, he's buying things up. He's scooping things up. CZ, he said, you know, I didn't buy any naming rights. I'm hiring engineers. So we tend to throw Sam and CZ in the same conversation here, but FTX did a 10-year, $210 million sponsorship for the naming rights with TSM. Does that fit in line with prudent financial moves there? I mean, what are your thoughts when you hear something like that and we still are lauding him and his sound decisions? Was it a sound decision to pay $21 million a year for 10 years for the naming rights of that?
Hey, if there's any extra capital around, we'll rename our channel FTX's Altcoin Daily. But, as far as like where the money could be spent, I mean, number one, where Sam Bankman-Fried likes to spend money is on politics, with Joe Biden being his second biggest donor. That's smart. And then crypto companies in general, sponsoring esports or sports in general, I think it's one of the smarter fits. Both audiences, male dominated, both audiences, tech savvy, both audiences, at least in esports and crypto, digital items, they get it. And sports and crypto in general, so tribal. So if there's anybody who's going to get it, it's going to be sports people who are going to be a little bit more accustomed to getting crypto, and for all those reasons I mentioned. So yeah, I think it's pretty good.
DZ's hiding, so I'm taking over. Oh, he's back. Never mind.
Thank you. I dropped my controller there.
DZ, we're doing a show, dude.
Well,
Come on, man.
I thought you'd take that as a sign to, hey, maybe I got to fill the air for a little bit. Thanks for
I know.
leaving me hanging there. No, I'm not out of breath for.
Sorry, I was
running
playing Candy Crush, so I don't know.
All right. Well, Tim. First off, are you a gamer?
Real quick, DZ, look at me.
Yeah.
And things you've said about me before. Do you think that I'm a gamer?
Don't answer that.
I'm looking at your beard, so I say yes.
Well, because, funny enough, I have nothing in common with Duck Dynasty. I've joked that I've gone for that Duck Dynasty / Dude Perfect type of mix for my persona. No, I grew up just playing sports. So,
I had a quick question then, because that might help me here, because you're going to have an outsider's perspective, and this is from an insider here. The reason I ran, I wrote down a quote from the FaZe CEO, and I lost my last page there. He's saying, now he has a prediction, Web3 10 years from now, is going to make 80% of TSM's revenue. So, I'm sorry, Phase's revenue. 80% of their revenue in 10 years, they say they're going to get it from Web3. What do you think of that perspective as an outsider? Is that possible?
You said how long? What's the time frame I'm talking
10
about?
years from now, 80% of their revenue is going to be Web3. Doable? Moon math?
Yeah, I mean,
what do you think?
I think it's absolutely possible. I think that we're about to see, I was doing an interview with Mark Yusko talking about the time frame of crypto in general. He said, in the beginning, around 09 to around 11, 12, there was they kind of ignored the crypto space. So the mainstream media people, whatever you want to call it, they ignored crypto. Then about 2013 to about 2018, 2019, or sorry, 2020 or so, when we started to have a boom right at the end, they kind of were laughing at crypto. Yeah, crypto's here. It's, it's cool, whatever. That's that thing that the nerds play with. It's their little digital money thing. We're moving into a phase where they're going to start fighting it. That's where we're getting all those regulations and stuff. But even that, there's so much momentum that happened in that ignoring and laughing stage that is carrying over. And the next generation is all about digital. And Web3, while it has a long way to go, I know Charles Hoskinson talked about this, how we're still probably 3 to 5 years out from really seeing real momentum grow in the Web3 space. But when it hits, it will take the world by storm. And you can do that what you want with it, whether it's good or bad. Those who have seen Ready Player One, to me, that's kind of a scary looking movie. Like, oh my gosh, that's where our population, that's where our society's going. But then you also have to kind of all right, realistic. That's what people are moving on. We're watching these kids, the gaming world. Again, I'm not a gamer, but the gaming world, that online world, that digital world is growing more and more every single day. The downside of it is we're losing human interaction. The upside for crypto, the upside for Web3 is if that's what the generation that's coming up right now is already engaging with the most, Web3 is going to take the world by storm. And that's why I asked about 10 years, because I think it could take, another 5-6 years before we really see the real uptick in use cases. But 10 years from now, absolutely, it might be higher than 80%.
Yeah, okay, good point there. And, it kind of reminds me of what is happening in the space today. And Wendy, I think you'll have some hot takes on this. Some of the top streamers, including the number one streamer, XQC, you see them playing and promoting stakes.com, which is a gambling site. You're spending slots and you're spending Bitcoin. So, when we think of Web3 and gaming, traditionally we're thinking play to earn, Axie Infinity. But some people are saying, no, esports is just going to serve as a bridge to Web3, whether it's, betting on your team or, buying items for a game. What do you think of that? I mean, is that going to be the Trojan horse to get gamers into crypto? Is it going to be, gambling sites, putting up a little Bitcoin in your Fortnite match? Or is it going to be, an Axie Infinity in the future and just it is that top tier one game that everyone has to play? What do you see as serving, the most normal mainstream people into this crypto space that we just can't get enough of?
So unfortunately, Bitcoin maximalists wouldn't like that idea. They don't like the idea of doing anything with Bitcoin besides buying it and holding it until
death,
forever, for the rest of the world, until that. But anyways, when it comes to Web3, metaverse, play to earn, like esports, all of this coming together, it's all going to come together. It's all going to work out. It's all going to play out. I don't know what the catalyst is going to be though, because I feel like every bull market, everybody gets super excited. There's all these great ideas that are pushed out. Most of them fail because most of the stuff is still in production. It's still in beta. And then we get the bear market. And that's when all the real building and the fun stuff starts to happen. That's when all the bugs get removed. People can actually say, okay, this didn't work well, so I'm going to create this. I do feel very confident that, all the gaming, the NFTs, the metaverse stuff is going to be really, really big the next bull run. But at the same time, I think that we're going to have to kind of be a little bit more careful as to what we put our money into this time. And as far as the esports go, like we talked about this on CoinDesk the Hash, but we were talking, one of the guys was like, what if there was a DAO for our, what is that football that people play? The fantasy football or the fantasy sports. What if there was a DAO to go ahead and initiate your fantasy football, your fantasy baseball, or whatever it is? Like that actually sounded like a great idea. And then as far as esports go, it's all going to come. People are going to eventually switch over when it's more convenient and it's built out and it makes sense for them. Anytime you have to put additional effort into doing something else, nobody is interested in doing it.
Okay. And just to be clear, you are okay with gambling Bitcoin away on the slots?
I'm okay with people doing whatever they want to do with their assets.
I love it. I was hoping you say no so I could say, aha, you are a Bitcoin maxi, but you didn't take the bait, Wendy. Congrats. Good job there. Gold star. All right. Well, it looks like that's all we got time for today. And it looks like Ben Armstrong narrowly edged out Tim Altcoin. I sandbagged him since he left me hanging there. It would have been you, buddy. But I was going to come in and just give you a whole bunch of points. But Ben, feel free. Leave us with some parting thoughts.
Yeah, guys, just remember, your crypto is safe if you have the private keys. But if you have the private keys and there's a vulnerability or an exploit, they can get to a wallet, they can still get underneath it. That's what we've learned with this Phantom wallet hack. Make sure you're being safe out there. Grab yourself a cold storage wallet. We've got some ledger links down in the description probably. I would say that's a good move. If you don't know how to use one, you need to. It's never been more obvious and pivotal.
Yeah, I even heard a rumor there's going to be a video coming out maybe this weekend. Who knows? But as Billy the Goat says, make sure you're sticking around. Frankie's going to be live in about 5 minutes, so you're going to want to tune in for that. And until next time, BitSquad, easy out.